Welcome back to the PI show. Before the break, we were talking about surveillance, and there's a case in the Court of Appeal which deals with surveillance recently. But my experience, or our experience, is surveillance is very widespread in Victoria in WorkCover, TAC matters that go to court where the credibility of the plaintiff is in issue. Often the insurer and their lawyers will hire a private investigator, and they'll take video footage or whatever the new technology is of people, a day in the life of someone. What are the sort of things that happen in court when they do that?
Well, the client gets up and tells their story a certain way. And of course the cross-examiner, when cross-examining the person, putting questions, tests the credibility of their evidence, tests the consistency of what they've got to say, and also can put to them video footage of what they've discovered when they've followed them around for that day. For example, somebody might be saying, I never leave my house, I'm housebound, I've given up all these other things that I used to do in my life, and then all of a sudden they're found down at the local supermarket, loading stuff out into the trolley, loading it into the car. Is that a consistent version? Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but that's the sort of thing that's put to the people at court.
Martin, all these cases are on paper.
Yes.
You know, you've got to put your story on paper. And generally the key to what you're saying, and Harry's saying this too, that you've got to make sure that it's all out in the open.
Correct.
That's basically what you're saying.
Disclose all relevant information,
Yeah.
all cards on the table.
And it doesn't come as a surprise to a judge or a jury if it ever gets that far.
That's right.
But people exaggerate.
Yes.
And they're inconsistent. You know, they some are caught out.
Yes.
But in most cases, in my experience, the video evidence doesn't really go one way or another. The other interesting thing about video evidence is, I think you had a case where there were 22 hours of video evidence.
22 occasions they went and followed the person between September 05 and August 07. That was a case that also went to the Court of Appeal. The lady gave her evidence, and the cross-examiner tried to say it was inconsistent, but her evidence really boiled down to she had good days and bad days. She had days when her medication was working, and therefore she was able to go and do the shopping, she was able to drive, she was able to go to various places. There were other days when she was housebound.
But of significance, she put that down in writing. It was all in evidence.
It wasn't inconsistent.
And it wasn't a surprise to the court.
Yes.
So when they produced the video, it really softened the blow, so to speak.
Well,
But it just seems excessive, 22 occasions to follow someone in a period of 2 years. Yeah. I mean, you know, that's what does happen in some cases. In my experience, it's rare. But the other thing is that would that video have been shown to the lawyers for the plaintiff before the case got to court?
No, and that's an issue which is worthy of a lot of comment, I think. You ask yourself, had the person been able to have the cards on the table face up? In other words, here we are, we've followed you around, you're doing this and you're doing that. Would the case have proceeded to court, and would it have taken the court's time? If the video evidence is so damning, like for a person who says, I can't go running anymore, and there they are, sprinting down the road or whatever.
It might be on drugs.
Right, whatever it is. It's interesting that the TAC, for example, have now protocols in place where they will lay the cards on the table prior to a hearing. And yet WorkCover, which takes a more adversarial approach to these matters, doesn't have the ability to put these credibility issues to the solicitors before the hearing.
I'm sure the system would welcome WorkCover doing the same as TAC.
Well, our Attorney General, Mr Hulls, has put out a justice statement, and he says there should be alternate dispute resolution. Well, what does that mean?
Well, what it means is, if, as Martin was saying, if you put all the cards on the table, which is surveillance...
But alternate dispute resolution means you don't go to court, have a trial.
Yeah. You have a conference or a protocol conference or a pre-trial conference, which is something that happens before a hearing, and all the parties get together, they lay all their cards on the table, you put your best foot forward. The insurer would put their best foot forward, which is surveillance material, which is supposed to blow your client's case out of the water. But
in those cases, would you say to a client, look, there's video surveillance of you doing something that is totally inconsistent with your activities, we think you should withdraw the claim.
Well, if the surveillance...
Is that what you would say?
Yeah. If the surveillance is that damning, and if you've been doing this work long enough, you could sort of judge for yourself. And most of it speaks for itself. The ones that are extreme, like the guy sprinting where he says he can hardly walk, I mean, that speaks for itself. It's common sense.
Or Harry, the simple one, somebody says, I'm not working. Oh no, I'm not working. All of a sudden there they are, they've got a stall at the market and they're working there every Saturday and Sunday. That's an inconsistency.
But
it doesn't gel
they're
correctly.
extreme cases. I
Of course
mean,
they are.
that's
extreme
fraudulent.
cases.
You're talking about fraud
Yeah,
there, mate.
yeah.
But I mean, that's a clear-cut case.
Yeah. But in a lot of cases, what you're saying is if they showed the video evidence before a trial to legal advisors and had a sort of a genuine and frank discussion, then a lot of matters might either settle or be withdrawn.
Correct. In the alternative dispute
facilitates-
resolution, you can have as you use the word, a mediator to facilitate it. If you've got a mediator there who's a professional person who can then go and say to each party, look, there's risks for either party in this claim. Those risks you've got to assess with your legal advice. If you get the legal advice that you're not going to proceed any further, the matter is resolved. If, however, the person says no,
They can still go
that's
to
not
court.
me, that's my twin brother,
Yeah.
that you've got the wrong person, the matter will proceed.
Yeah.
In that case that you gave the example of, you would have thought that the video... Look, let's be realistic. Most surveillance shows people shopping. A lot of it does.
A day in the life of.
Yeah.
A day in the life of.
And you
Tony.
probably would not recommend that they withdraw in those circumstances if they've said, look, I do the shopping. Occasionally there's heavy items. I pick them up. I might have a child I've got to carry along. I mean, you put it all on the table and, you can explain things away.
So the message is to Mr Hulls, speak to the Work Cover Authority and get them to engage in genuine alternate dispute resolution.
And put everything on
And
the
put
table.
everything on the table before matters go to trial without taking unnecessary time.
Invite the other people, which is the lawyers for the plaintiffs and the plaintiffs, to come to a alternative dispute resolution table where they can sit down and discuss the matter sensibly with the cards on the table face up. If the matter's resolved, they resolve. Only a small number will have to go to court. It will not clog the court with unnecessary matters.
Okay, so as I say, Mr Hulls has got it right. And we're waiting for a directive to work cover. We've got to go for a break in a minute. What's the other issue about surveillance and issues of that sort is that we talking about technology and photos and things, and we've got a lot of assaults in Melbourne over the last 6 months, 12 months, and a lot of that's captured on cameras.
Yes.
And we'll come back and discuss what arises from that after the break.